Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriritam Kalmashapaham Sravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grananti Ye Bhurida Jana. The Master with the Brahmo devotees. So on Wednesday, 2nd May 1883, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Sri Ramakrishna arrived at the temple of the Brahmo Samaj in Nandan Bagan, accompanied by Aim, Rakhal and a few other devotees. At first, the Master sat in the drawing room on the ground floor, where the Brahmo devotees gradually assembled. Ravindranath Tagore and a few other members of the Tagore family were present on this occasion. Sri Ramakrishna was asked to go to the worship hall on the second floor. A dais had been built on the eastern side of the room. There were a few chairs and a piano on the hall. The Brahmo worship was to begin at dusk. As soon as the Master entered the worship hall, he bowed low before the dais. Having taken his seat, he said to M and other devotees, Narendra once asked me, what good is there in bowing down before the Brahma Samaj temple? The sight of the temple recalls to my mind God alone, that God consciousness is kindled in. Then God consciousness is kindled in my mind. God is present where people talk about Him. One feels there the presence of all holy places. Places of worship recall God alone to my mind. So as we find, it has been mentioned in the scriptures, what that Naham Vasami Vaikunthe Yoginam Hridayanacha Yatra Madbhakta Gayanti Tatra Tishtami Narada. So that in the scriptures it is mentioned that Vaikuntha is the abode of the Lord. So here he is saying that I don't reside there. Yoginam Hridayanacha. The yogis meditate on the heart to realize the divinity in the core of their heart. And he's saying, no, I don't reside there too. Yatra Madbhakta Gayanti. So where they're all, the devotees sing in congregation. They're all sitting together, singing in congregation. It is there where I reside. So it's the congregation. It creates a wonderful atmosphere. As has been spoken of in the Bhagavatam, Tirthi Kurvanti Sadhavaha. Tirthi Kurvanti. That we say such and such place is holy. Were there places, were those places created in heaven and thrown from there on earth? No. It just belongs to this world alone. And how they became, these holy places, how they became. For thousands of years, for hundreds of years, we'll find people go there, the sadhakas go there, and they resort to spiritual practices, exclusively to spiritual practices. They leave all other thought, all other worldly preoccupations, and will be in that place exclusively for spiritual practices. And that's how a holy vibration is created. And anyone who, even without any proper mental preparation, goes there is bound to get affected, is bound to get influenced by that holy vibration. We will find that the vibration of a place do affect us immensely. You will find that sometimes that we are not in a very good state of mind, and someone asks us to accompany them with to some holy place. Most probably sometime willingly or unwillingly we accompany them, and the moment I am there, though I was having no such mental inclination for any spiritual sublimity, the moment I go there, suddenly if I find the mind has changed. There is no need from my side any effort. There is no need for any effort from my side. Just we go there, and just the atmosphere of that place, the vibration, because all the people go there for that holy practices alone. That's why Swami Vivekananda always used to say that even at our home, there should be an exclusive corner, a place where we have no gossip, no worldly preoccupations. It is meant only for, that place should be meant only for worship, for meditation, for worship. So that way, that place, that small place, even in the corner of our house, that will have some holy vibration will be created. It will have as if a very condensed atmosphere of holy vibration. And then if I am not in a very good state of mind, I need not have to do anything. I have already created by persistent spiritual practice there, exclusive spiritual practice there, a holy vibration. I have created that. And other family members have created that. And now when I am not in a good state of mind, just by being there, I find my mind changes. So that's why the idea of having a small chapel, a small shrine at our home has been so much prescribed in our scriptures. So it's not only in the big temple, even in our home we can create that place. And that's the thing Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that when a place is used exclusively for worship, where all go there, sing together, the praises together, the glory of the Lord, and that place gradually develop that strong atmosphere of this holy vibration. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating here, that God is present where people talk about Him. One feels there the presence of all the holy places. Places of worship recall God alone to my mind. So that's the thing, that the holy vibration is created. That's one thing. And another thing which Sri Ramakrishna will be indicating in his following discussion. What he's saying? Once a devotee was overwhelmed with ecstasy at the sight of a babla tree. The idea flashed in his mind that the handle of the axe used in the garden of the temple of Radhakanta was made from the wood of the babla. Another devotee had such devotion for his guru that he would be overwhelmed with divine feeling at the sight of his guru's neighbors. Krishna consciousness would be enkindled in Radha's mind at the sight of a cloud, a blue dress, or a painting of Krishna. She would become restless and cry like a mad person, "Krishna, where art thou?" So, this is another idea, wonderful idea, that when we become more and more absorbed in spiritual thought, all the things which are associated with our spiritual endeavors, with our spiritual practices, they also enkindle the thought of the divinity. Even when I am not sitting in the shrine, just the things which are associated with all our divine practices, by the law of association we will find just that thing can enkindle a spiritual fervor in our mind. That's why it's a very exclusive thing you will find. In other religions we don't find that. The offering, the idea of offering, that we will be offering fruits, flowers, sweets, food to the Lord. Many ask, does God really eat that? we forget that there are so many ideas. What's the idea? That the God do take the subtle part of the food and then deify it, that it makes it sanctified. Even if I am a very much a person of having a secular mentality, I can still find that such practices do help us. How? That association, how it helps. In our scriptures, there's a wonderful idea. They say, Atmavat Deva Sevanam. Atmavat Deva Sevanam. That whatever you like, whatever I like, I just think that most probably God also likes that. So I offer it to the divine and then I have it at prasadam. How it helps us? It helps us by sublimating all our desires. Suppose in the season of the mango, the first mango fruit has came in the market. I go for shopping, I buy the mango. I like it. I can just simply have it directly. That will be just the satisfaction of my gratification of my greed. The same thing, if I offer it to the divine, I come and just offer it to the divine and then have it, then what happens? I have an idea of that fruit has been sanctified. And when I am having it, now the thing of my greed enkindles devotion. When I am taking prasadam. So what happens? You need not have to forcefully subjugate your desires. You can sublimate your desires. That whatever desire I have, let me channelize it to the divine. I offer it to the Atmavat Deva Sevanam. I offer it and then I am having it. The same greed now gets sublimated to devotion. So that's why in our scriptures, if you just see all the worship, the elaborate worship, during the Durga Puja, the mother's Mahasnan, there are 56 items, more than 50, 64 items are there. With so many things, the snana will happen. They will collect the holy waters of all the rivers. They will go to the places like in the forest where the boar has dug the earth, the soil, with their horns. So that soil is used for the mother's snana, the bathing of the mother, the Mahasnana. It's used as a cleansing agent before taking the bath. The soil from the ill-reputed places is taken. Why? So throughout the year I have collected all those things. With that, I do the mother's worship. And these things all get associated with the worship of the mother. Now I move out in the world. The things which I have used have all got associated with my mother. And now seeing that thing, immediately, if I have really done the worship with full devotion, those things are bound to enkindle devotion in our heart. You will find in our house also it happens. The child has went to the school, your son, your kid has gone to the school, your child has gone to the school, and the mother or the father enters the child's room, or maybe for a few days they went from the school for some camping, and the child is not there at home. The father or the mother enters the room of the child, whatever they see, that enkindles the thought of the child, isn't it? Because all the things are associated with the children. So that's the same thing. When I am worshipping, the moment I associate it with the divine, now those things are no more worldly things. They become a opportunity to enter into the portal of the divine realm of my existence. I still remember that in long back, a brahmachari just joined the order. This thing I say so many times. And he was asked to do the ritualistic worship of Sri Ramakrishna. And he found that every day they use, amongst many ingredients, we use the gandha. Some perfume is used as an offering to the divine. Now this brahmachari vehemently opposed. He told, why use all these worldly things? It distracts our mind. When I was at home, I attended the wedding ceremony of one of my sister, of one of my cousin. And it reminds me, that smell, the moment I am doing the worship, this fragrance reminds me of all the social events. Because people use those perfumes, they come there, the ladies use this perfume, everywhere that smell is there, and now my mind gets distracted. It makes me think of all those worldly things. Why in the worship we should use all those things? And he couldn't get a satisfactory answer. And after a few months, his own experience gave him the answer. What is the experience? That being the pujari, being the one who has to do the everyday ritualistic worship, so you know that for the worship every day we need some fruits for the offering. So to purchase the fruits he had to go to the marketplace. It's a noisy marketplace. He was going around, and as he was passing by the side of a perfume shop, the moment that smell of the perfume came, so now he found a wonderful thing has happened. In that noisy place, in the marketplace, full of noise, disturbance, that smell immediately transports him. Now this smell has got associated with the worship, because for the past few months he is using this perfume for the worship. And now this has got, it has got associated. Previously it was associated with the worldly things, this all social events. Now it has got associated with the worship of the divine. And now even in that noisy place, he feels the sanctity of the shrine. That's what he's feeling, that experience. So that's how we can deify the entire world. The Isha Upanishad starts with that verse, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat, that permeate the entire creation with the Lord. But that is a fact. Because of ignorance, we don't see the Lord. The fact is, it is the Lord who is appearing as this universe. So as a practice, though I am not seeing the Lord, try to deify the entire existence by seeing the Lord in each and every being in this universe, in each and everything in this universe. So how to do that? So the way is Atmavat Deva Sevanam. Use the things of the world for your worship, and then those things gets sanctified, deified. So if I am a sincere worshipper, those things will remind me of the divine and divine alone. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we see that for the first time, someone took him to the zoo to view all these animals. And the first animal he sees is the lion. He enters the zoo and sees the lion, and seeing the lion immediately goes into deep samadhi. The samadhi was so deep that those who were accompanying him, they couldn't go around the zoo. They had to bring back Sri Ramakrishna, because he was not in a normal state to go around the zoo. He was in a deep state of absorption. So he had to be brought back. And when he came out of his samadhi, then he related that what made him go into the deep state. That lion is the carrier of Mother Durga, Vahana of Mother Durga. So lion, Mother Durga, and immediately the mind goes off. So the mind has become like a dried matchstick. Just in a flash it goes. You know, in the olden days there used to be something called this bioscope. Some hawkers will have this bioscope, and they will be traveling, and there used to be some these pictures on which the light falls. It was just like a reel, and you have to see through the lens, and that picture will become very, very vivid, lively. So some such hawker was passing with all those bioscope, and all the devotees thought, why not show it to Sri Ramakrishna? When Sri Ramakrishna peeped through it, it was the temple of the Badrinarayan. And it becomes so lively with the full light flashing. It looks so wonderful. And seeing that through the bioscope, the shrine of Badrinath, again Sri Ramakrishna went into deep samadhi. And when he came back from samadhi, he asked the devotee to offer some money to the person that hawker. And most probably he gave some few pence. And Sri Ramakrishna was terribly angry. He said, I have just now have the darshan, have the vision of Badrinarayan. And you just give such a few pence, give him more. So that's the wonderful idea we find. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, there are so many such examples. Someone was just closing the umbrella. Again, he went into just seeing a person closing the umbrella was spread out because it was raining. He came inside and closed the umbrella. Ramakrishna went into samadhi. Why? So when he is coming back from samadhi, he is relating, that's the way a yogi has to focus his distracted mind. He has to just bring his mind to one focus. The distracted mind is just like that open umbrella that has to be brought to a focus. So in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, there's so many that we find that an English boy, just a small boy, Sri Ramakrishna was passing by the street and he saw from his horse carriage an English boy was standing reclining to a pillar of a house. He was reclining and his hands were folded and one leg was crossed over the other and he was leaning against the pillar. Immediately went into samadhi. Reason? That enkindled him the thought of Krishna. We find that Krishna is called Tribhanga. That when he is playing the flute, his elbows are bent. That's one bend. Tribhanga means three bends. One leg is crossed over the other, second bend. And his hip is bit slanted, tilted. There's a third bend. So that's why he's called Tribhanga. And here also this English boy was standing, leaning on the pillar. So that's there was the first bend. Hands were folded, the second bend. One foot was crossed over the other, the third bend. Tribhanga. Immediately his mind was just like the dry mastic. Immediately it took him to that realization of Krishna. Just see that all these images, symbols, accessories, they have a great meaning in our spiritual life if we can relate to them with a proper attitude. Nowadays we find that all are rituals. All these rituals, elaborate, meaningless rituals, what's the use of them? But actually all those rituals were meant for that. They were a wonderful way of Atmavat Deva Sevanam. All the things I like, I don't have to forcefully renounce them. I use all my five senses. All the five senses I use to sublimate. Everything gets associated with the divine. So that's the way of channelizing our emotions, our feelings, instead of subjugating them. And then the thing which was meant for worldly entanglements become a scope for relating to the divine. So this is the process of sublimation. So even in modern psychology they say that we shouldn't forcefully subjugate our desires. So we find in our scriptures there was a wonderful way of sublimating all our desires so that these worldly desires become converted into devotion. So that's the thing we find Sri Ramakrishna is indicating here, that the worship, how it helps us? By associating, that all the things get associated with the divine. What he's saying? Radhakanta, once a devotee was overwhelmed with ecstasy at the sight of Babla tree. Why? The idea flashed in his mind that the handle of the axe used in the garden of the temple of Radhakanta, just see how this association comes, was made of the wood of Babla. So this wood of Babla, with which the axe of the handle of the axe of the Radhakanta temple is made. So this axe and this Babla tree, axe of the Radhakanta, and that's taking him to a spiritual, a tremendous spiritual fervor that develops from that because of his association. Another devotee had such devotion for his guru that he would be overwhelmed with divine feeling at the sight of his guru's neighbors. This reminds me of another story which Sri Ramakrishna says, that because of some shipwreck, a man, most of the people in the ship were dead. Only one man somehow was washed to the shores of Lanka. And then Vibhishan was the king. So now you know that they are all Rakshasas. The Rakshasas relish the human flesh. And now seeing a human being washed by the ocean to the bank, to the seashore of Lanka. So the Rakshasas came to devour him. And immediately the news went to Vibhishana, the king of the Rakshasas. He came running. And seeing that human form, that human being, he was immediately overwhelmed with devotion. Why? Because his own Ishta Devata, the Rama, is a human. And seeing this, just see the association. Seeing a human, though his Rakshasa, his instinct says that it is my food, but his devotion says he is the form of my Lord. And what he does? He arranges for sending him back to his own land. So that's another story. But what's the idea? The same thing. That the association. That this is the form of my Lord. So that's the same thing here. The seeing the Guru's neighbor, one is overwhelmed. So Krishna consciousness would be enkindled in Radha's mind at the sight of a cloud. Why? The Krishna's color is just like that, the cloud. And this it's this Nava Jaladhara. This Jaladhara means cloud. So he's Nava Jaladhara Shyama. That we will find that these are the adjectives we use for Krishna. That his complexion is just like the dark cloud. So seeing cloud, Radha's mind will be again enkindled with the thought of Krishna. A blue dress or a painting of Krishna. You'll find very interesting. Radha's dress is Radha is wearing blue colored dress, and Krishna is Pitambara, is wearing yellow color. Why? Because Krishna is Radhamaya. Is constantly, when I am thinking of the Lord, that when I am having devotion for the Lord, that love is reciprocated, the God's love for the devotee. So Krishna is constantly thinking of Radha. Radha's complexion is golden. That's why Krishna is wearing the golden color, the Pitambara. This golden color, the yellow, that yellow is having a golden tinge. That's Pitambara dress. And again, Radha is Krishnamaya. That's why she is always wearing the blue sari. So that's the thing. There's a blue dress Radha wears because it enkindles in her the thought of Krishna, the painting of Krishna. So all these things. So you will find that in our religion that so much of symbols, everything is used because they are having a very, very wonderful significance. They are all there to enkindle the spiritual thought in us. If it doesn't enkindle, they are all useless. If it really helps us to enkindle, why? That's why when in the West, Swami Vivekananda was again and again encountering the people who were always against this ritualism. Swami Vivekananda used to say a wonderful thing. I have seen Ramakrishna, he used to say. He was an outright and ritualistic person. So if the rituals can create a Ramakrishna, let there be thousands of rituals. I want that end product. Can you create a Ramakrishna with all your so-called rationalistic idea? All these rituals are very effective if they can produce a Ramakrishna. With all those rituals, he has this Ramakrishna. That's why he's saying that they are all very good if they have been understood in the proper sense. So that's the idea of association with Sri Ramakrishna is indicating here. And then the Ghoshal. But madness is not desirable. So sometimes we find that the devotees, the way they try to associate with all those things, at last turns out to be an obsession. And that appears to be something like madness. That's why this one Ghoshal, a devotee, a Brahmo, is saying that, but madness is not desirable. Master, what do you mean? Was Radha's madness the madness that comes from brooding over worldly objects and makes one unconscious? One attains that madness by meditating on God. So Sri Ramakrishna in some other context used to say a very interesting thing. Sri Ramakrishna himself appeared to be mad when he was going through his spiritual this practices, he was so inebriated with all the spiritual fervor, we find that he appeared to be mad. And when someone came and told that people are saying you have gone mad, he used to answer, his answer was wonderful. He used to say, who is not mad? In this world, some are mad after money, some are mad after sensate pleasures, some are mad after name and fame. I am mad after God. What's the harm? All are mad. So, is a madness. In this world, all are mad. The majority are mad after the worldly things, so they vote that this is okay. And when they say someone mad for something like God, they being something which is exclusive, where very rare. So this majority will term them as mad, but actually all are mad. All are mad. So that's the thing Sri Ramakrishna is also saying, that here, do you think this is an ordinary madness? This is the madness. Was Radha's madness the madness that comes from brooding over worldly objects and makes one unconscious? One attains that madness by meditating on God. So this madness is very different from all other madness. This is also an obsession. Love for God is also an obsession. But this obsession is qualitatively different from all other obsession. How? That as we say again and again, that how all this worldly madness, obsession has developed. The madness, all madness is a type of obsession. If you go to a doctor, you will find that if you have some type of what is madness? The thing which is necessary, when I do out of necessity, beyond my necessity, it becomes madness. Like washing hand is good. It is a hygienic habit. I have to wash my hands. It's before my taking food. But we find that there are some person throughout the day, without reason, is washing hand. Throughout the day. And if he goes to the doctor, he will, in the prescription, he will write on the top OCD. What it means? Obsessive compulsive disorder. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So washing hand is good. But then when he is doing it beyond the necessity, throughout the day, without any reason, so anything he touches, immediately feels his hand has got dirty. Immediately he will go and wash his hand. And that also he won't be satisfied. I have seen such a person. That with the right hand he is opening the tap. So nowadays, that's why you will find in public places that you don't have to touch the tap. You just put the hand, the sensor is there, the water falls. But in the olden days, it was not like that. The moment you touch the hand, he washes his hand. Now again, he has to close the hand, this tap. So what he will do, he will skip some water in his palm. He will just have it close the tap, and then with that water again, he will wash the other hand. So sometimes we find it is too much. So that's the obsession, that's the madness. So how this madness in our world, you will find there's all sorts of madness. A majority of this madness is nothing but obsession. That doing something beyond necessity. Our love for relations, our love for wealth, everything turns out to be madness. When we do beyond necessity. How it happens? That what I do out of necessity today, when I go on doing it, it creates as if a path in my mind. And once the path is created, I forget the necessity. Just to do it becomes my likeness. And that's how all the madness has developed. In all the religious tradition, what they have done, they have used the same thing to create a new type of madness that will help me to get rid of all other madness. What? Think of God. I don't like it. Use your willpower. We all think meditation is a matter of will, but actually it's not a matter of will. Our meditation is still in the preliminary stage. We have to use our willpower to forcefully think of God. But if I do it sincerely, a time will come by this repeated practice, a new path will be created. That now, once the path is created, now thinking of God, I will find, is something has become my liking. The same thing, it has become an obsession. Now, the will is getting converted into devotion. I don't have to use my willpower. Just I think of the God, I find that devotion is overwhelming. That's why in Bhakti Shastra they say that how to develop bhakti. I cannot forcefully have bhakti. So very nicely it is being mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Ei Horinam Nite Nite Bhakti Mukul Fudbe Chite. That go on taking the name of the Lord. Go on taking. Even if you don't have love for God, go on taking. Once by repeated practice you create this path in the mind, then suddenly this love will come. Now this is a new type of madness. Now Sri Ramakrishna is saying, is this madness same as the worldly madness? No. Why? See, all other madness, this obsession for the things, it was all extraneous. Whether it is my love for relation, whether it is my love for wealth, or it is for name and fame, it is all depending on something external. Till I get the thing, I am fully full of concern. I may not get it. Once I get it, again the concern is there. Full of tension, that again I will lose it. So all this love is full of tension, fear. I may not get it, and once I get it, I may lose it. But once I develop this love for God, just thinking of the divine, I find my heart is full of devotion. No one can take away from me. It is something intrinsic. It is not dependent on something external. It is something intrinsic. And no one can take away from me. There is no question of jealousy. Here, if we find that I love a person and I find that the one whom I love, he or she loves someone else, immediately jealousy comes. But have you ever heard that I love God and you too love God and we are jealous among each other? No. We actually become a family, just the opposite. All of this love is something qualitatively different because it is intrinsic. That you may love God, I may love God, but that there is no need for some external thing. I just dive within me, I relate to the same divine, the way you are relating to the divine, and there is no question of clash. So it's like you have created a new path. It's also an obsession. You have created a new path which is a qualitatively different from all other paths. How? All the paths were just like traveling through some traffic. That if I get the green signal, you get the red signal. If I get the red signal, you get the green signal. There is a job, hundreds have applied for it, but there is 10 vacancy. If I get the green signal, I get the job. It is at the cost of the others. It is just like passing through the junction because they are all depending on something external. Now I have created a new road. It is just like the freeway. There is no junction. There is no junction. So once the freeway is created, what happens? There's a natural tendency to avoid the traffic, isn't it? Always it happens. Why should I go through the traffic? There's such a nice freeway. So once I develop this love for God, I will find all other obsessions are falling off. The natural tendency will be to follow this path, this bypass, this freeway. Why should I go through all those junctions, all those traffic, tension, fear? Why should I go with all them? This is a nice freeway I have created. So that's why this is a love which is qualitatively different from others. And the more I practice, the more the groove in the mind deepens and the more intense the love becomes. The love is more and more intense. So that's why very nicely that Mirabai, that song is there. The Rama Ratana Dhanapayo. Just a few days back, during 2 days back, that on the Ram Navami, we were singing that song. That 2 lines are there, wonderful. That what this Ram Ratan, this treasure called Rama is, kharche nahi koi. That the more you think of this Lord, that all other, I have wealth, the more I use it, it gets expended. But this is such a wealth, the more I think of my Ishta Devata, of Rama, it's such a treasure, the more I think, the more the groove in my mind deepens, the more I travel through, the more it deepens. So it never gets expended. My love for my divine becomes more and more. It's not like an worldly wealth. The more I use, it gets expended. This is such a wealth. The more I use, the more I resort to that practice, the more the love increases. It doesn't get expended. Kharche nahi koi, chor na leve. No one can take it away from me because it is intrinsic. It is not something external. Chor na leve, no one can steal it from me. Dina dina varata savaya. But that's wonderful. The more I practice, it goes on increasing. Dina dina varata. It's increasing. So that's why now you will find Sri Ramakrishna, what is saying? This, what was Radha's madness? The madness that comes from brooding over worldly objects and makes one unconscious. One attains that madness by meditating on God. It is totally different. So that's why he's saying that when this madness is not desirable, Sri Ramakrishna, it is desirable. Become mad with the thought of God. So that actually will help you to get rid of all other madness. So then, haven't you heard of love madness and knowledge madness? So both the way, by a devotee also can become mad by the thinking of God, and the one who has this knowledge madness, the jnani, he also develops a type of madness. For the world, it is a type of madness, because most of the people cannot relate to his inner feeling. What is the love madness? We find in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Seeing the forest, he thinks it to be the Vrindavan. Seeing the ocean, he thinks it to be the river Yamuna. Just see how the law of association works. Seeing the forest, he's thinking any forest, he will think it is a Vrindavan. That's how he was actually desisted for the first time from going to Vrindavan. Immediately after sannyasa, there is the practice. Because the moment you take when anyone takes sannyasa, he has renounced everything of the world. So he will go towards the Himalayas, not to come back to this world anymore. Then Nityananda was running after him. And when they were passing through the forest, Nityananda, to bring him back, told, see, this Vrindavan has come. And Mahaprabhu did really feel it's Vrindavan. Because his this vision has changed, that his association has changed. Seeing the forest, he thought it as Vrindavan, and that's how he was desisted from going away immediately after that intense renouncance, para vairagya he had that time. And that's how he was brought back, seeing the ocean. That it happened in his life. Seeing the ocean, he used to jump, thinking it as Yamuna. There are some versions which say, actually, if you go to Puri, there is, in the sea beach, there is a place called Sargadwara. That one notion is that how Mahaprabhu disappeared, no one knew. There are many such theories. One theory says that he actually, thinking the ocean to be the Yamuna, just ran into the ocean, and that's where he got drowned, submerged. So that's why that place is called Swargadwara, the way to heaven. If you go to Puri, you will find that Swargadwara is still there. That place they have made some landscape has been made there. Some construction is there. They're called Swargadwara. The nice, beautiful image of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there. So what's the idea? There's this thing that this is a type of madness. For us, it's madness. But for a devotee, he has a wonderful way of relating to the divine. He is even ready to give up this body for his love for the divine, because he has related to that dimension of his existence, where this body is just like a traveling. Just traveling. It's not my destination. It's just a journey which doesn't has as such any value as per my final destination is concerned. It's just a passing phase. Just to get rid of it is something which doesn't concerns us, doesn't matter us. So that's why we find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is ready to give away his life. He's not actually bothered, because he is relating to a portal which is eternal. That to an ordinary person is a madness. That's the madness of love. And even a jnani can be mad. We will find that Swami Vivekananda, in the complete works, in one of his lectures, he is indicating that there was a sadhu who was staying in a forest. He used to just sit by under a tree and constantly used to chant Soham Soham, that I am that absolute, I am that absolute. And this forest was just on the bank of a river, and on the other side of the river there was a village. Even the villagers could hear the chant, Soham, Soham. And one day, a lion suddenly pounced on this ascetic, dragged him into the deeper forest, at last to kill him, to devour him. And the villagers could hear the chant of the Soham till his last breath. It was fading. The chant, as the lion was dragging the sadhu to the deep forest, naturally the sound became more fade, and at last it couldn't be heard till his last breath. His conviction was so strong. To the world it may appear as madness, but that's the madness of knowledge madness. That he has become convinced of what he's chanting. It's just no more like a mechanical chant. What is a mechanical chant? As Sri Ramakrishna says, you teach a parrot the name of any form of divinity, maybe it's Rama or Krishna, it chants. But when a cat comes and throttles its throat, the wild sound comes out. It forgets the name of the Krishna chant because it is something which he has just memorized. He doesn't understand what actually it means. But the divine madness is such. What is that? In our scriptures, that's why in Mundaka Upanishad is said that what's one of the sign of a realized soul? That he is nativadi, na ativadi. Ativada, vada means speech. Ati means transcending. That his speech never transcends his experience. What he has experienced, that only is speaking. For us, when I say God, it is ativada. I have not experienced God. I am just speaking of something which transcends my experience. But a realized soul never speaks anything which transcends his experience. That's why they are called na ativadi, na ativadi. So that's this reason for this type of madness. The speaking from the realization. That's what speaks of that knowledge madness. And again, if a devotee, for that it is the madness of love. There's love madness and knowledge madness. These are the two types of madness which Sri Ramakrishna is indicating. So haven't you heard of them? That Sri Ramakrishna is asking. A Brahmo devotee, how can one realize God? Master, by directing your love to him and constantly reasoning that God alone is real and the world illusory. The Ashwatha tree alone is permanent, its fruit is transitory. So the two things. Directing your love to him, that is abhyasa, by constantly contemplating on the Lord. You direct all your mind and soul to the Lord, that is abhyasa, and constantly reasoning that God alone is real and the world is illusory. So this speaks of viveka. Viveka leading to vairagya. Why that viveka, that discrimination? By constantly reasoning that the world is unreal and the God alone is real. What will happen? I will develop detachment for the world, love for God. So this vairagya, abhyasa and vairagya, these are the only practice. Even in Bhagavad Gita, this says this abhyasa and vairagya. So that's the thing. This directing your love to him, this abhyasa, and detachment from the world, which comes from the discrimination. So these are the two practices. Vairagya alone is not a sign of spirituality, because we find in the world there are some depressed person. They have developed total detachment for the world. Some even commit suicide. But can we say them to be a spiritually evolved soul? No. That type of vairagya is not associated with this love for the God, which alone abhyasa can bring. When I love God, that through practice, when I develop that love, then this vairagya is something which speaks of spirituality. Otherwise, vairagya alone can never speak of spirituality. That's why first comes the love of God, directing your love to him, Ishware Anurag, Vishoye Virag. In some other context, Sri Ramakrishna is saying. These are the two things. And these are not something separate practice. The more I develop love for God, the world falls off automatically. In the words of Ramakrishna, the more you go towards the east, the west automatically falls behind. Just now as we were saying, the more the groove of the love of God deepens, the other things being qualitatively different from the love of God, they start falling off. The more you go towards east, the west falls off. So these are the two things, simple things, which is very easy to say, but it takes lives, maybe lives, to really bring into practice. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Tablar bol, mukhe bola sahoj, hate anakoti. It is very easy to say the rhythm of a percussion, but to really become a skillful player of percussion, it may take months, it may take even a year, years. If I have to become something like an ustad, it may take years. But to say the rhythm, just to memorize it and recite, just it takes few minutes. So it's very simple, but it's not as simple as told. In practice, it may take time. But that's the thing which we have to keep in my mind, that this is the only thing which we have to practice with purity, patience, perseverance. That's Swamiji's to 3. The entire spirituality is nothing but can be described with 3 P: purity, patience, perseverance. Purity speaks of our constant attempt to keep the mind in the thought of God. That speaks of purity. That I bring the purity is not in the body, it is in the mind. I try to stop all the distractions and bring the mind again and again focus in God. It's not easy. Again I try, I fail. Again I try. This speaks of this again and again. This attempt speaks of perseverance. I have to persevere. And with perseverance, do I get the result immediately? No, I don't know. How long it may take, I don't know. That's why patience. So these 3 are the sanam and the bonum of entire spiritual journey. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating here. So we will continue with this discussion on the spiritual practices again in the next class. So with this, we stop our conclude our class today. Thank you all. Namaskar.